You've tamed the voices in your head. You've put your courage to the test. Laid all your doubts to rest.
Hi everyone, welcome from your Intuition Queen to a new episode of Intuitive Queens podcast. Today, I have the pleasure to have with me Erica Carrico, who is a life purpose coach and a business coach. Hi Erica, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. So, you and I met about a month ago in Melbourne, under the sun, in a beautiful moment.
Before all of this.
Before all the craziness happened, for the Beautiful You award ceremony, you actually won the International Coach of the Year award. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
And we spent 2 nights together actually, and I just loved being with you, but I also loved your story. It's so deep and such one of that stories that, like, it doesn't matter what happens at the end of the day, if you follow your soul, you get to have a reward and be happy and find your way. So I really would like for you to tell us your story from your side.
Oh, story. I know, it's like, oh my gosh, where do you even start? I think, I was so many women out there right now, and possibly even so many of your viewers and your listeners, where, I was kind of living life how I felt I should be living life, and just basically going through and ticking all the boxes, I sort of found myself just kind of falling into a career in my 20s. And I always felt, like I was here to make a difference in the world. And I always felt like I had this soul calling and this life purpose. And it always felt like it was something that was eluding me. I never felt like I could figure out what I was here for. And I was doing really cool things in my life. I was traveling and I was working in really fun jobs, but I also felt this sense of, you're not making anything of yourself, Erica. Like, it's time to really dial in, buckle down, figure out this career piece, make a success of yourself, and let's just do the thing. And so I ended up choosing a career in corporate America, and I was working in corporate recruitment. And I ended up, which was really cool, being able to travel around the world. And I was living down in Australia for quite some time as well. But, I really found myself in this spot when I was 28 years old, where I felt I was doing the same thing every single day. And I was going to work every single day, completely miserable, not loving my job in any way, shape, or form, knowing that I wasn't making a difference in the world at all. And, I was really struggling with where I had gotten myself to the point where, I would say that there was definitely a lot of anxiety around how I was living my life, just felt totally misaligned. Nothing in my life felt like me. And, I was trying to do everything I could to just make myself be okay with where I was at in my life, So I was having the wine every night, and I was like obsessively exercising, just anything I could do. I was traveling a lot. I was just really trying to keep myself busy so that I didn't have to face the reality of how miserable I really was, because I was living life so misaligned with my soul and my heart, and so far from what I really wanted to be doing.
So what was that thing that, like, because it sounds like you kind of knew that there was this alignment. So what was that thing that kept you there and kept you in that job, and did it make you think about maybe even just looking around to do something else?
Yeah, such a good question. Again, it goes back to me trying to be the person that I felt I should be. And I put that in parentheses and quotes and all of the things, because sometimes, we create these expectations for ourselves, and they have nothing to do with who we are, but they have everything to do with what everybody else expects you to do, or thinks you should be doing. Right. So that pull for me to be the good girl, to be the success, to earn the money, to be the achiever, you know, was really like ingrained in me. And for some reason, I felt like I didn't know what else I would do with my life. And if I let go of that, then I was basically going to be starting from scratch at 30 years old in a whole new career path. And that at the time terrified me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because you're supposed to have certain kind of things when you get to 30. You're supposed to have a family or pretty much get in that way. Yeah, I can imagine how that feels, especially if you're surrounded by a certain kind of family and pushes you to get that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I had enough. I actually remember I was crying myself to sleep on Sunday nights, and I was waking up in the morning just doing everything I could. I was living in Sydney, and I was taking the train in, and it had a sort of about half an hour commute. And I was trying everything just to like pump myself up to make it through the day. You know, I was listening to affirmations. I was trying to listen to like positive music and all the things, and just nothing was working. And I remember telling my partner at the time, who was my boyfriend, now married to him, that this job and this career was literally killing my soul. And he said, you got to get out. And I did. I turned in my resignation and I quit, and spent the next year backpacking around the world and just taking some time to myself, which was really needed and really beautiful.
So what happened during that trip? Were you by yourself? Because I mean, like traveling around really makes you experience life in a different way. You really have the time to stay with yourself. And normally people kind of figure out what is it that they want to do. So I assume you got back, you were like, okay, so I'm going to do what I want.
Yes. So on that trip, I did go with he's now my husband. We were just dating at the time, but we did go together and spent all the places in all this, you know, India and Thailand and Southeast Asia and over in Africa. And I definitely realized on that trip that when we returned back home, I would not go back to the corporate world. Like I knew that I was never going back to corporate, that I wanted to start my own business, that I wanted to become a coach. I had actually seen a coach in Sydney when I was going through that huge chaotic mess. And they basically were the catalyst of me quitting my job. And at that point, I knew that coaching was something that was within me. And, you know, I had always been trying to search for the right career path in business for me to start. And I knew that that's what it was. So I get really excited. We move back to Australia, and all of a sudden my mind just starts taking over, and my mind is saying all these things like, well, now you don't have any money. Where is your money going to come from? You know, you're too young to be a life coach. You're going to get married soon. You're going to be starting a family. You need a career. Like you can't be irresponsible starting a business right now. We have bills to pay. And all of these things started creeping in, and my anxiety took over, and it was like, I've got to get a job. And so out goes, you know, I let my mind talk my heart and soul out of doing what I was feeling called to do. And honestly, it was one of the biggest mistakes I ever made in my life.
Wow. So what happened? What did you do?
So this is really ironic, and I laugh at this now because, you know, rather than starting a business and maybe taking $5,000 or $10,000 to start a business, which I knew I would make succeed, I took out a $35,000 loan to get a master's degree, which makes no sense. But to me, I so justified that as this is the responsible path. This is what I should be doing. Yeah. And so I did that. I got a master's in nonprofit management, and I did not go back to corporate. I knew I wanted to make a difference in the world. So I spent the next 5 years as the executive director of a not-for-profit in Australia, and then one in the States when we moved back to the States. And, you know, about 5 years into that, I was in the exact same burnt out situation that I had found myself in corporate. It was no different. It was no different.
Yeah, I can imagine, because the limiting beliefs and whenever your soul is calling you to do something, especially when you found what it is that you want to do, it's not going to stop. Like the moment you have a breakdown, the moment you allow your body, your mind to relax, it's going to come up again to be there. Hey, hello.
Exactly. It doesn't go away, and it's going to call louder every single time that you ignore the call and it comes back. It's going to be louder, stronger, harder, bolder, and it's not always pretty, is what I have experienced, and also what I've seen within a lot of women as well.
Yeah. So what did you do at that point?
So at that point, I knew that it was definitely time for me to listen and to pay attention. And at that point, I was 35, approaching 36, and I couldn't keep going the way that I was going. I just couldn't. I had been in a career or a job that I didn't love for the last 15 years, essentially. Well, between 10 and 15 years. And I just knew that if I didn't make a change now, when is it going to happen? You know? And I actually felt like I can't continue to do this to myself, to my body, the anxiety, the depression. I was drinking every night, not a lot, but 1 or 2 glasses of wine just to like, you know, de-stress and numb myself out. And I didn't want to do that anymore. You know, I wanted to love what I do for work. And I wanted to really make a difference in people's lives on a soul level. And I wanted to be my own boss and have my own business and be able to write and speak. And just, I wanted that freedom and I didn't have it. And for me, it was like, screw it, I'm done. And so, yeah, I invested in a coaching program and became a certified coach, started my own business on the side. And yeah, within a year, it had become my full-time gig, and it's just like gone further than what I ever in a million years imagined that it would have gone, which is exactly what happens when we start to follow those soul callings, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so it sounds like once you started, you finally found your grip, and there you go, you exploded. So was your transition easy? Was there something that was difficult for you? Because it sounds like from the way you said it, sounds like, okay, I became a coach, bum, and within a year, bum.
No. I mean, yes, but no. Okay, yes. There was like 1,000,001 steps from here to here, but no. So basically, I think I said this right before we jumped on the call. Like, this is actually when I finally had said, yes, I commit to this, all shit hit the fan in my life. And I think that, you know, when we do commit to something, one, the universe is going to test us and challenge us and say, do you really want this? And two,
I can confirm that.
You can confirm that. I know. It's like, okay, totally. Yep. Do you really want this? Let me test you on it. And two, if you really want this, and if you're willing to step into your soul's work, then we need to strip you down and build you back up and recondition you to who you're meant to be and not who you've built yourself to be. And so for me, it was like, I just have goosebumps now because it was like a complete undoing at that point that I said, let's do this. Everything in my life fell apart.
Wow. Okay. Would you like to go a little bit more into details with this?
Yeah, I can. So I was diagnosed. So the week that I was supposed to start my training, my coach training, I was also diagnosed with cancer. And for me, it's so ironic because I, as a little girl, was terrified of getting cancer. And I used to, it was like my biggest fear my whole life was that I was going to get cancer.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's such a big fear for a little girl.
I know. A part of me wonders if I, one, either manifested it because I was so worried about it, or two, I intuitively knew that I was going to get it, because I actually found it based on my intuition. I knew it was there. And so, yeah, it happened at the right time. And I know it happened at the right time for the exact reason that it did. Looking back, it was too perfect of a storm.
What do you mean it happened at the right time?
So had that had not happened to me, I would have started my coaching business from the place of where I was at.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
So in that sort of negative space, in that I was still having the wine every night, and I needed to take a spiritual journey, and I needed to pull my walls down, and I needed to strip myself of the shoulds and of the conditioning. And I never would have had the courage to do it had this did not happen to me. But when that diagnosis happened, I hit the floor and I was on my knees and I was just like surrendering, like, take me, like, what do you want me to do with my life? If I even have a life, I am here, I'm yours, work through me. And it was a case of full surrender. And from that point, I had to build myself back up in a way that was so aligned with who I am. And that never would have happened had I not been diagnosed.
Wow, that's amazing. Now I have goosebumps because that's, I mean, that's really powerful to think that a diagnosis like that, which is scary. And I cannot imagine what you went through, where you think your life might end, you're young and you just started whatever. Decided that, okay, there is a reason for this. Just do what you need to do. So yeah, that's really powerful, because instead of staying into the negative, you decided that was something that you had to go through to, I mean, I know you say this now because you understand it, probably that wasn't the case when you were in the situation.
Right.
But I think that's pretty powerful. Okay, so so what happens next? How does your process continue?
Yeah. So for me, it was, throughout the time that I was building my business, I was working full time, and I had a baby. I was nursing a baby and I had a toddler, and I was really trying to learn how to coach and create transformation in people's lives. And I was trying to learn how to build a business. And I was also really trying to learn how to live again. And so that first whole year of building my business was very much me learning how to make decisions from a heart and soul and intuitive based place, as opposed to how I'd been conditioned to doing it from a place of, well, what should I do here? And so it was a year of just learning to trust myself again, and a year of learning to reprogram my thoughts and how my mind naturally worked. And through, the work that I think that I did, it just really allowed me to show up in my business in a different way, and truly being of service, and really just being able to connect with and empathize with my clients and what they were going through. But I think most importantly, and the reason why I feel like my business was such a success from early on was that I did align it with my soul, and I followed those intuitive hits with everything that I did in my business. And I still do that today. And when I see people trying to build businesses, from a place of what they think they should be doing or what everybody else is doing, it actually doesn't work for them. Yeah. And so, it's really trying to be able to pull that back to, how do you want to do this and what feels right for you? Yeah. It's been a journey.
Yeah, I can imagine it has been.
A journey.
I just have a question, because I remember when you gave your speech, when you collected the award, if I remember correctly, you did say that as much as you were into the negative and you kind of attracted the cancer, then you also managed to heal yourself. So I really like this part, and I'd like for you to talk a little bit about this. How did you heal yourself, and you found the strength to continue to go through your coaching path now that you have decided? Because, you know, I cannot imagine when you get diagnosed with such a scary disease, you might want to drop everything, especially if you have children, and, you know, just focus on them and make sure that you are okay. So I kind of want to see your transition, and what do you mean when you say you healed yourself?
Yeah, such a beautiful question. So I think for me, it's the reason why I didn't drop everything. I think I did touch on this in my speech, is that there was a night when I was nursing my little girl to sleep. And, you know, I just remember looking down at her, and, you know, I was nursing her at the time, and she just looked up to me with these big blue eyes, and she just had this big, huge smile on her face. And I just burst into tears, and it all hit me in that moment, you know? And I just remember, I don't even know if I said it out loud or in my head, but I physically just looked up at the sky, and I just remember thinking, like, why? Why is this happening to me? Why right now? Why right here? And it was just this moment of like sobbing. But at the same time, I don't know if I heard this. It was almost like something whispered into my ear. It was so clearly, but I saw and I heard the words remission. And what that said to me was remission. Remember why you're here. Remember your mission. Remember it. And it just sank into me right there so hardcore that I do have a reason. We all have a reason why we're here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not something we have to find or figure out. It's following, like you said, the intuitive hits and the breadcrumbs as we move along through our life path and our soul evolution. And for me, it was time for me to wake up, and it was time for me to remember who I was. And so in that moment, I knew that I was here for something so much bigger than what I had been living before. And in that moment, I was 100% in. I was all in to following my soul's path and not doing anything else that felt any negative, different way. I was in. And so I think that moment was so pivotal and powerful for me. And that was the reason why I couldn't just let everything go, and I couldn't just fall apart, you know, into a heap and never get out of bed again. And
That's beautiful.
yeah, and that really, what's that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that really started my healing journey. That moment, it started my healing journey. And it was like, okay, my body created this for a reason, right? Why did my body create this? And I asked my doctors, my surgeons, my oncologists, and every single one of them said, oh, you know, it was probably just a random fluke. And, oh, you're so young. And it just, we don't know. Sometimes these things just happen. And for me, that felt so wrong, because I knew there was a reason why my body had started going against itself and had started creating malignant cells. And so I went on a huge journey of following the breadcrumbs, right? So surrendering, what am I meant to hear today? Who am I supposed to read, follow? You know, what am I supposed to be doing? Just show me the way, show me the way, show me the way. And I was shown the way, you know. Louise Hay's work came into my life. And
Yeah, of course.
yes. And immediately from that first week, it might have even been the next day, every single night as I fell asleep, I was listening to Louise Hay's meditations and her I am affirmations. And I was already starting to release a lot of the fear, and realizing that, you know, what my body had created was not only a result of the way I was treating my body physically, but I really truly feel more so what was going on in my mind, and how I had been carrying this negative energy and these negative thoughts and this resentment and this guilt, and just really stuffing who I was inside, you know, and into this box. And it just created toxicity in my body, right at my kidneys, and developed cancer right there. And so for me, healing was, yes, learning how to better treat my body, which I was very healthy, but now, like, I do things I didn't before. Like, I juice every day. I don't eat meat, I don't eat dairy, I don't eat gluten, I don't eat sugar. So I'd really cleaned up my diet. But the biggest transformation for me was learning how to feel my emotions and know that that's okay. And also allowing them to pass through me and keeping an open heart at the same time. And really working to heal a lot of the resentment and the anger that I had felt. So for me, it was more healing the mind, and really trying to let go and release, decades and possibly even ancestral lineage.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So it just goes back and back and back. So it was more so that kind of a healing journey than just the physical body healing journey.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I mean, I think that what we think, our body keeps score of everything. And, you get upset at work, you get frustrated, and you repress yourself for so many years. You judge yourself for so many years that at some point it's going to come up in some way. And for you, it's being cancer, it's a burnout, it's a depression, it's another way of showing that enough is enough. And I love that you started to listen to Louise Hay. And for who doesn't know, she wrote the book You Can Heal Yourself, and she's written books and a lot of talks about this topic. And I do believe it's true. It's all about us really reframing what we were thinking and releasing the emotions related to old situations that no longer serve us. And the past, the lineage and the ancestral line, it's also something that, I've done work on myself as well. And I was like, wow, okay, now I feel I can breathe.
I know, it's so powerful how much we carry. Yeah.
Especially as women, because the women, like our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, how repressed they could have been. Like if we feel repressed here, or if we repress ourselves, just imagine what was life for them, that they couldn't really have a voice and do anything other than be a mother and a wife and just suck it up.
Exactly. And that to me is even more of a reason why we need to follow our heart and soul, because for the first time in possibly human history, we as women are free enough and have the opportunities to be able to do that now. Our moms, not so much, our grandmas, definitely not, and our great grandmas and beyond, never. And it's like, we have this responsibility now and the opportunity. And I just think it makes me feel really disheartened when I see people's minds holding their heart and soul back when they came here at this time for a reason, and yet their mind talks them out of following their heart and soul and their true path.
I think it's like, I have a few friends that it just like, they're so scared that, like, you can see that there is so much they could possibly do. Like, you can tell them whatever, but the fear of what happens and how am I going to support myself? And you started at the beginning, salary, and I need the money, but then, this fake safety that you feel in investing £35,000 in a master is opposite to maybe 5,000 for a coaching course. But it's this that we have been told we need to have a good job and find a good man and have a family. And way too many of us fall in that trap and forget to really understand what is it that they want. And even if they do, they feel it's too late, or they feel there is too much to look through that they don't want to even start, because otherwise what's going to happen?
Right. So true. It's so true. Yeah.
Okay, so I now want to talk about what you do and how is your life now, and how you feel, and a little bit about the bright side.
Amazing. Sounds good. Yes. What would you like to know first, my dear?
Well, we said that you're a life purpose coach and you're a business coach. What exactly do you help the women that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. So I basically help people. I feel like my mission is really to guide light workers to be able to do the work that they're doing, right? So what that means is helping people who feel called to discover their life purpose. What is their life purpose? What are they here for? And how can they turn that into a soul aligned business, right? So that they can actually be free to do the work that they're here to do. And so then from that point, once people figure out what business they want to start, the next half of my business essentially helps them to build that, to get their work out into the world in a way that they're creating the impact that they want to create, but also they're earning good money and a beautiful lifestyle doing that as well.
Okay, I like that. Sounds
Yeah,
perfect.
it's fun.
I bet it is. One thing that you, with all your experience and working with women, what do you think is that one thing, or maybe a couple of things that you see it's so common that stops women, or when they come to you at the beginning, is there a bigger fear or bigger struggle, and the reason why they might wait to get in touch with you, or they're still not sure if sign up with you or with someone else to actually take a leap in a faith in themselves?
Yeah, I think that, especially, so if they're coming to me for, if they're coming to me and they're really wanting to figure out who they are at soul level, what are they here for? What is my purpose? What is my life's work? And they really don't know. A lot of times they actually have an idea as to what that might be, but they can't tell if it's conditioning, if it's them, if it's not them, if it's the right thing, if it's not the right thing. They just essentially don't have that clarity, right? There's a lot of fogginess around it. And so I think when women come to me, that tends to be where they are. They usually are feeling really burnt out in their lives. They're burnt out in their careers. They know that they're here for something more than the life that they've been living, but they just have no idea how to figure out what that path is supposed to be for them.
Okay, yeah, I think it's I get the same kind of questions and situations, or like, I know I'm here to do more, but I don't know what that means, and I'm afraid, and all that. So on this line, what would you feel to say to all those women that might be just at the verge to contact anybody to get help, to really find out who they are, rediscover themselves a little, and shut off all the layers that they don't need to be who they are?
As terrifying as it is, don't let that stop you. Like, just reach out and take that first step, right? Like, take the first step. And I think we create in our minds this vision of what that might look like, and it really terrifies us, and it might feel really big and really scary and really bold. But just take that away for the minute and just reach out and take that first step where you are right now, and just don't let fear hold you back. Because I think as you start to take the tiny little baby steps, one step at a time, especially if you've reached out to a coach and you have someone to guide you, it never ends up feeling as scary as you think that it is in the beginning, right?
That's right.
You have to just get rid of this big scary monster over here that you're actually just making up yourself, and just stay right here.
I like that. Okay, so now if we want to get in touch with you, where do we find you?
Beautiful. So my Instagram, do you put like show notes or?
Yes, everything is going to be in the show notes, and also below here on the whoever is watching on YouTube.
Beautiful. So yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My website has a bunch of freebies around finding your purpose, and then also around building a soul aligned business, which is ericacarrico.com.
Okay, just to wrap up, anything you wish to say about this year and this unknown situation where people might feel like, is it the right time for me to really switch career, to really figure out maybe I shouldn't because it's so uncertain and I need a salary, or whatever other fear might come up, or thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is from a life perspective. This is the best time. It's actually the great pause. And this is such a gift, because when in history have we ever been given the opportunity to have the space, to have the time, to be able to reflect on our life and if it's worth really going back to? And if not, you have the time and the opportunity right now to pivot and to choose a different path and to create something new. And we have the space in our lives right now to do the soul work. And from my perspective, this is a mass awakening. And I feel like it's happening because we're all waking up right now, right? We're all waking up. We're all here to help raise the consciousness of the planet.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling like I'm not obsessed with my life and how it was before, I really want to create my own business, to live my purpose, to follow my purpose, this is the call. This is the time. And there's never been a better time to do the work. And as far as businesses go, on the business side of things, the coaching industry, the healing industry, you know, the online business industry, regardless of if you're in that space, it is absolutely exploding. It is taking off right now. And for those people who are ready to build these online businesses, once things get back up and running in 9 months to a year from now, you will have been doing the legwork and the groundwork, and you're going to be light years ahead of people. And more people now than ever are reaching out to light workers for the guidance, for the healing, for the coaching, for the help, for the retreats, you know, because they're ready to evolve themselves. And so whether you're ready to discover your life purpose, to step into your life's work, or to build that business and start it, there's never been a better time. And if you're thinking another way, I would say that's probably just the stories that you're trying to tell yourself to keep yourself small and safe and secure.
That's right. You could have not said it more beautifully than it is. And I completely agree with you. I think this is the best time, and whatever programming fears you have in your mind of the reason why you shouldn't be doing this right now, it might be one thing that I want to add to this, because that's one thing that I hear. But you know, maybe I shouldn't be doing this and be selfish because there are people losing their job. As bad as it sounds, if that's not you and you are in a situation where you can afford to go and ask a coach to help you, go, because in 6 months, 8 months, a year, you will be able to help that person who's lost their job. So we just need more people, as Erica said, to raise consciousness and help other people. So don't think that this is not the time because other people are suffering. It's terrible what's going on, but if you feel this is your chance, this is your chance. So go for it.
Yeah. 100%. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes. High five.
High five, sister.
Oh my God, Erica, thank you so much for being here today. It's been so amazing to hear your story. It's so powerful, and I do hope everybody listening and watching has been inspired by this and kind of gave you strength to really do the little steps that Erica was talking about earlier, because it's really about little steps. Then there are some big steps like enrolling in a course, or taking other masterminds, or hiring a coach to help you create your business. But really is that decision to commit to yourself that really matters.
So beautiful. Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Erica.
Thank you for having me. Such a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye. Wow, what a powerful story that Erica told us. This is so amazing. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I hope you found some strength, and you really felt what it means to really follow your intuition. If you do feel it's about time you do something better for yourself, that you feel called to do something different, even if you don't know what that means, don't hesitate. Get in touch. Like, you can get in touch with me, you can get in touch with Erica. We're here to help you. We know how it feels to be in a job that makes you feel miserable, and we know how it feels to do a job that lights you up and lights your heart, and where you feel you're happy to do what you're doing. So even if you don't think you know what it is that you could possibly do, or you're afraid, just get in touch. Like we can have a call and have a chat and see how you feel. And maybe, who knows, from there you can take the next step. If you want to get in touch with me, just go to theintuitionqueen.com. You can have a look at my website. You can book a free call. I have a program the last 4 months where I can help you to really tune into yourself, rediscover who you are, and use your creative genius and follow your purpose. And otherwise, I have other healing sessions if you're struggling with the situation, or you can download my guide. And you can also find me on Instagram and on Facebook as the Intuition Queen, and also, as you know, on YouTube. Just look for the Intuition Queen, where you can actually see the podcast and all the guests on my podcast. I hope you like this episode. Please subscribe, share, and leave us a comment, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much.
Your future's at the door.